Nobody warns you that doing the right thing feels exactly like drowning, slow, cold, and completely silent, while the whole world stands on the shore and watches. The phone calls started at 5 a.m. Not from friends, not from allies. From the kind of men who don't call unless they want something or want to take something away. Daniel let them go to voicemail. By 9 a.m., 17 missed calls. By noon, his approval rating had dropped 11 points. By 3 p.m., a news van was parked outside his daughter's school. That last one made his hands shake. He called his security detail. Moved Zoe to his mother's house across the city. Kissed her forehead at the door while she looked up at him with those eyes that asked questions she was too young to fully form. "Are we going to be okay, Daddy? We're going to be fine," he told her. He wasn't sure he believed it yet. What nobody tells you about power is this: it doesn't leave quietly. When power decides to abandon a man, it burns everything on the way out: relationships, reputation, the small daily comforts that men in high offices mistake for permanence. Daniel's oldest political ally, Congressman Brett Farrow, canceled their standing Thursday lunch. No explanation, just a one-line message from his assistant. His communications director resigned by email. 3 state senators who had endorsed him 18 months ago were now openly quoted in the press, calling his decision reckless and dangerously sentimental. And through all of it, the noise, the defections, the slow theater of political abandonment, one thing kept Daniel from folding. A brown folder, not the one Marcus had left on his desk. Amara Ellis had sent him one of her own. It arrived by registered mail on a Wednesday morning, addressed directly to the governor's office in careful, even handwriting. Daniel almost didn't open it personally. His aide nearly filed it with the public correspondence. Something made him reach for it himself. Inside were 40 pages, not legal briefs, not evidence reports, letters, Amara's letters to her father, a small selection she had written on the cover note: "Chosen because I want you to know who you are deciding about, Governor." Not a case number, a person. Daniel read every page. Jerome Ellis, in his daughter's letters, was not a headline. He was a man who used to make her pounded yam from scratch on Saturday mornings. A man who taught her to ride a bicycle in a church parking lot. A man who cried the first time she told him she'd become a teacher, pressing the letter to his chest in a prison cell while a guard pretended not to notice. A man who had spent 23 years waking up in a 6x8 room for something the evidence now strongly suggested he did not do. Daniel closed the folder. He sat with it in silence for a long time. Then he picked up the phone and called Amara Ellis directly. She picked up on the second ring. He hadn't prepared what to say. In the end, he didn't need to. "Miss Ellis," he said, "I read your letters." A pause. Long enough that he thought the line had dropped. Then, quietly, all of them, all 40. Another silence. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Not softer, stronger, like something that had been held tightly for a very long time had finally been permitted to breathe. "He still asks about me," she said. "Every visit. Before anything else. Before how are you, before anything. He asks if I'm eating, if I'm sleeping, if I'm happy." She paused. 23 years in that place, and his first question is always about me. Daniel closed his eyes. "I'm going to fight for a full hearing," he said. "I want you to know that directly. From me. Not through the press, not through a statement. From me." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve to hear it first." The line was quiet for a moment. "Governor," Amara said, "do you know what it costs to hope for 23 years? To keep showing up, keep filing, keep believing when every single system built around you is designed to make you stop." Her voice didn't waver. "Don't tell me you'll fight unless you mean it all the way. My father cannot survive another almost." The word landed in Daniel's chest like a nail. Almost. He thought of every almost in his career. Every time he had gone 90% of the way toward the right thing and stopped just before it cost him anything real. "I mean it all the way," he said. The hearing was granted on a Friday. Daniel was in back-to-back budget meetings when the confirmation came through. His new aide, young, nervous, still learning which silences in the room meant danger, slid a note across the table. Conviction Review Board confirmed full evidentiary hearing. Jerome Ellis case, 6 weeks. Daniel read it twice, folded it, slid it into his breast pocket against his chest. He finished the meeting without mentioning it. Some things, he had learned, you carry quietly first. That evening he drove himself home. No detail, no convoy. Just Daniel and the city moving past his windows like a film he had seen 100 times but was only now beginning to understand. He thought about Marcus Hale, wherever Marcus was, already building something new, already attaching himself to someone else's rising star. Marcus would be fine. Men like Marcus were always fine. They carried nothing, they felt nothing, and so they lost nothing. He thought about Jerome Ellis in a 6x8 room, counting another night. He thought about Amara Ellis eating dinner alone, carrying 23 years of hope in a brown folder. He thought about Zoe, asleep at her grandmother's house, gap-toothed and dreaming of a world where good people always did the right thing. He pulled over on the East Side Bridge, stepped out of the car, stood in the night air above the river and breathed. The crown had never felt heavier, but for the first time since he put it on, it felt honest. Part 3 coming, because some stories don't end, they deepen. Some fights aren't won in courtrooms. They're won the moment one person decides the truth is worth more than their comfort. You're watching a man choose his conscience over his crown, one painful decision at a time. This is Gotti's Folktale Lessons. If this story is reaching something inside you, subscribe, share it, pass it on. The next part is coming. And it will be worth the wait.